Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. This video is going to be a little different because I mentioned my backstory. I've mentioned a lot about politics. But now I want to focus on anyone who maybe is a little undecided, shall we say. Maybe you're sitting on the fence. Be careful you don't get a sore ass. But maybe there are a few young'uns who are sitting on the fence as far as politics are concerned. Well, I was in the exact same position that you lot were when I first started my politics. I mentioned some of the topics that I did. Tommy Robinson being harassed by James Fielding in his holiday to Tenerife, I believe. The fact that he has been maliciously persecuted by Leeds Crown Court by trying to claim breach of the peace and then switch it round to contempt of court, even though everything Tommy Robinson said was in public domain. But I was one of those people who, at first, I was afraid to want to go to these protests, who was afraid to want to speak out. Then came a time where basically I got my confidence. Tommy showed me, there are so many people out there who've had to put up with the same shit that I've gone through in the past. Because the one sure thing about politics is it is one of the most divisive things in a family relationship. You can have easily people on the left side and the right side, or you can even have some people in the middle, and then you've got a three-way triangle of like who's going at each other's throats and what have you. I understand what it's like because I've been through it. 4 years or more, probably could even say 5 or 6 years, I've been talking about politics and having my family try to lambaste me over that shit. And while I did make mistakes in the first couple of years by mentioning what my mum and sister and what have you were doing, I had to mention those things, in my humble opinion, because it showcased what people were doing to try and stop me making my videos. Of course, now I've grown up and I can understand from my mother's perspective of just why she didn't want me to go into politics. Hell, 2 days ago, I believe. No, yes, 2 days ago, I had to tolerate my mother giving me a whole load of shit when I was merely mentioning how I had a cardboard box, because I'd mentioned to her I had thrown out like all my cardboard and what have you, but I mentioned in one of these cardboard boxes was stuff that a friend, a donor, gave to me, which had that camcorder. And then all of a sudden, I didn't even want to bring up all politics in general. I was just bringing up the box with all the stuff in it. But then my mother made it about she's worried about what I'm doing with my politics and what have you, and that she doesn't think I should be doing it, and blah, blah, blah. And you know the whole story by now. But for people who want a shortened version of that shit, basically, it led to a massive argument with me and my mum at each other's throats, basically saying, well, she's saying I shouldn't be doing this and that. I don't know why I bother because it's driving my mental health down, and just trying to, I guess, effectively emotionally blackmail me, because that's something that my mum and my sister have done in the past, unfortunately. And I don't like bringing up issues in the family. I don't like bringing my family into this shit. But it needs to be said, because people need to understand exactly what kind of stuff that people of the younger generation who want to go into politics, and even people of older generation, go through when they follow their political cause, I guess. Now, my mum also mentioned that this kind of behaviour is self-destructive. I disagree. I think it's only truly self-destructive if you are going at what you're doing with no regard of the law. Now, some people could argue, well, you do that when you keep calling Keir the traitor Starmer that name, or how I sometimes say that he should be arrested for this, that, and the other. Here's the thing. I am very rational when it comes down to the law. Like, I know I can't just go up to someone and just punch them in the face, for example. Or I can't go and fucking get a knife and be like, I'm going to stab you now. Stab, stab. And be like, I can get away with this. No, I fucking won't. The police will be round my door in an instant. But my point is, there are things that people don't think about. I am being very rational when it comes down to law, and my freedom of speech is protected under Article 10 of the Human Rights Act. But that's something my family members won't care to look into. That's the thing. My family, the cold, bitter truth is, they've become apathetic. And what was the one thing that Tommy Robinson said on the 27th of July, or was it the 1st of June? He said apathy is what will kill this country. That's what it boils down to, for example. My family, they're apathetic. They don't believe I'll make a change in the world. They basically think that what I'm doing is completely fucking pointless. And let's say for the sakes of argument that maybe my mum is right and that maybe I won't achieve any change in the world. You know what? I'd rather try than not do anything. I'd rather put in the effort and then find out later and be like, well, I gave it a good shot. I hope to make a good change, but I guess it was never meant to be. Rather than be like, fuck it, fuck the country, fuck them, bye. Like, I'm not going to be like that, because at the end of the day, I do have a deep-seated passion in this country. That's the cold bit of truth on it. I have a deep, vested interest in wanting the best for this country, which is why I say things exactly how I say them. I don't mince my words, I don't sugarcoat a motherfucking thing, and I will say it exactly how it is. And I will do my best not to bullshit you. But there are people, and you're going to get this in your family. You're going to get people who either they disagree with your views, or they're going to want you to not speak about your views. And some people are going to be very malicious about it. Some people may even try to work with the police to have you arrested. Or they may try to stop you from being able to do what you want to do. I know that's what happened when I first started attending the protests. I was told, you are not going to attend these protests. So I basically went anyway. Because I was like, no, you know what? You don't control me anymore. You don't control what I do and don't get to do. Obviously, I do think that you should make sure you have a good family relationship. But the cold, bitter truth that people are going to have to accept, unfortunately, is that we no longer live in a time where decisions are easy. Like, we can no longer sit in a time and be like, well, I can make an easy decision. When am I going to be eating these mini cheddars? Anyway, it comes down to there aren't going to be any more easy decisions. It's not going to be as simple as, oh, I'll just take the top off of this. There are going to be very, very tough decisions that people have to make, which involve family relations. I know my mum certainly doesn't approve of me doing politics. My nan doesn't approve of me doing politics. My sister doesn't mind me doing it, but unfortunately she's a lefty and she'll always side with against what I have to say. And it's also why she's getting her visa sorted out now so she can go off to Sweden. So that tale is almost over for her, as far as that's concerned. Like, there are times where sometimes there are going to be ties that are just simply severed, completely severed, just because of your political opinions. But know that you're not alone. Know there are like-minded people who are going through the exact same thing that you are. I didn't have to do this video. I really didn't. I could have just gone straight on my computer, start up my Darkest Dungeon stream, and think nothing of it. But you know what? That conversation I had on Friday did also briefly bring me to tears, because I worry, because I didn't even attempt to try and bring politics to my mother. She made it that. She made it into something political. She made it into something that caused both of us a great deal of discomfort. Unfortunately, this is what politics does. Politics can easily destroy the relations with people you love, just like that. But I know deep down, I would rather be a selfless person who cares about their country than playing safe. Because everyone in my family is saying, like, well, you know it's not good. Well, you shouldn't be doing it then. Like, they always go for the most pedestrian answers. They always go for the safest fucking options. Well, 10, 20 years ago, maybe you could keep going down that safe path. Maybe you could keep walking along and not thinking about it. But now, these days, every step is fraught with danger. And you can't keep mollycoddling people. You can't keep protecting them from the real world. Because you know what's going to happen? If you keep protecting people from the real world, it's like when people were wearing those face masks during COVID, and they weren't actually breathing in the air that was obviously out there in the real world. Their resistances were brought down because of it, because they only wanted to wear the face nappies. Their immune systems decayed on the back of it. And now we have people who potentially a cold can kill them. Admittedly, this will be mostly among the elderly, but it doesn't change the fact that for example, wearing these masks has a negative impact on your health. Likewise, if you keep trying to protect your people, your children, or whoever from the real world and what's happening to it, they will never be able to understand how to fight it. Whether it's physically, orally, mentally, psychologically, whatever. And let me be clear, I'm not advocating for violence for that, by the way. I'm just saying they won't know how to tackle these problems head on, if necessary. But there are so many people that are out there who are probably thinking, I don't know what I should do. I don't know whether or not I should be doing this, or should I be taking the first step into politics? Now, of course, not every family is going to be against you. Not every family is going to go at loggerheads with one another. There are families who are going to be unified. Excuse me. There are going to be families who are unified. There are going to be families who are completely split. You need to make sure, if you have a loving family, make sure they're all right. But assure them you're not going to do anything stupid. Because my mum probably thought the same of me. She thought, I'm going to do something stupid, I'm going to get arrested. Well, the closest I got to being arrested was somebody was telling me to come here, and I was like, nah, do not consent, mate. Do not consent. Because I know the fucking law. Because they always try to get you to do joinder and what have you. Just so they can be like, right, we've got his name, we've got his joinder, we can arrest that man now, we can take him to court and make an example of him. And even that, I was being told, they'll make an example of you and you'll be in for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, blah, blah, blah. And as I said, I'm not afraid of that shit anymore. I'm not afraid. As I said before, we have to be prepared to do one of two things when we're doing our activism now. get killed or go to jail. That is another cold truth about the movement. We cannot afford to give any more ground to Islam, to Keir the traitor Starmer, to illegal immigration, to any of it. And unfortunately, it means we can no longer play safe. It means we have to start taking risks. Otherwise, we will not cover enough ground to be able to reclaim the country. But if you're ever in doubt as to, can I really do this? Be there on the 26th of October. Because I assure you, every single rally that Tommy Robinson has done over the last 3 or 4 years, he has done impeccably. Have there been a few outbursts of violence? Yeah, of course there have. But it's mainly from people who are absolutely sloshed on alcohol, who are being agitated by the police. That's the truth of the matter. It is mostly the police aggravate and agitate the crowd, and then the crowd gets rowdy. It usually isn't started by the supposed far right, as the mainstream media will have you believe. It is started from left-wing police who want to get in the thick of it and cause trouble for the right. But of course the mainstream media won't tell you this. You know the drill, folks. Because say it with me. It doesn't suit the narrative. The media, stroke number 1. The media would have you believe that it is, oh, we're all far right, leading football hooligans, thugs and lockdown protesters and blah, blah, blah. But the truth of the matter is, most of the people who come to these protests, myself included, on the last one I did, in fact the last 2 I did actually, it was all peaceful. There was no trouble. There was no trouble whatsoever. And that was all because the police did not get involved. That's the truth of the matter. If the police do their job and they keep the peace and protect us from counter demonstrators, then nothing happens. The moment, though, they decide they want to get in and agitate the crowd, that's when it all kicks off. And this is, unfortunately, the cold truth here is I suspect they're going to try it again. Think about it. Keir the traitor Starmer, I mentioned in a previous video, is going to do everything he can to make this movement look bad, to smear us. He will do everything he can. Infiltrators, agitators, police agitating the crowds, kettling us. All tactics they love to use with us, but they won't dare use it with pro-plasticine or the Islamic demonstrators or Just Stop Oil, just to name a few. These are all tactics they only use with the supposed far right. But I assure you, as long as the police do not try anything underhanded, and as long as you behave, they can't do anything to you. They cannot arrest thousands of people, I'd love to see them fucking try, for just having a conversation with one another, stating their opinions, watching a film, having a sing-along, hell, even dancing. Because that's the way Tommy Robinson organises these things. He organises these things not just as a means to be able to voice our frustration and our anger towards the government. He does it as a day of an enjoyment as well. He does it so that people from all around the country can come along. And it doesn't matter if you're black, it doesn't matter if you're white, it doesn't matter if you're yellow, It doesn't matter if you're green. It doesn't matter if you're Sikh, Hindu, Islamic, Christian, you name it. Every colour and creed attends these rallies, and they come together in unity to show their love for Great Britain and their contempt for traitorous politicians like Keir, the traitor, Starmer. You do not need to worry about whether or not it's going to be peaceful. Every rally that Tommy has done over the last few years has been peaceful, or the intentions have been peaceful. But then they get tarnished in some cases because the police want to piss us off. That's their doing, not us. We are usually impeccably behaved. But understandably, when people get attacked, naturally, their survival instincts are going to kick in. You know, fight or flight. And some people do end up choosing to fight. But that's down to the police, as I said, not us. I still remember Salford, though, 4 years back. I didn't have to attend that rally. It wasn't one I was actually planning to attend. It was, I believe it was after the second protest in London, or was, no, sorry. It was the one after Panodrama, if I recall correctly. The one up in fucking Manchester, I believe. So this one was also in Manchester, and I didn't have to attend that one where Tommy was trying to become an MEP. But I was invited down. I was put up on stage, shared a platform with Tommy Robinson, and had a lovely big hug with him. Like, people may think that he is just this violent thug, this criminal. I can assure you, Tommy may have committed some wrongdoings in the past, and I'm not sitting here claiming he has a halo over his head and he's claiming to be polishing it. I've got some extra sheen here, I think, somewhere, if he wants to borrow it. Anyway, the point is, he's not a perfect person. And I actually don't have it in there, shamefully. But he's not a perfect person. He's not 100%. He's not, well, not 100% in the perspective of how he's done in his life. He is 100% mentally, though, because he goes to the gym and he fucking works out and all that shit. Good luck working this shit out. But anyway, in all seriousness, he's not a perfect person. I think a lot of us would be hard-pressed to tell you otherwise. Even me. But at the end of the day, Tommy has made great strides. He has made great strides in bettering himself as a person. Is he still a little bit excitable? Yeah, he is. I think a lot of us are, to be fair. But he's rational, he's controlled, he has good intentions, and he believes in this country. If ever there was a person to stand behind, it's him. Don't let the left-wing NPCs tell you otherwise. Don't let the left-wing tell you, oh, he's all this and that and the other. They'll usually try to come out and say, he's racist. But then, do you know what happens? Those claims fall through. Just like that. You know why? Because they never provide any evidence. When you ask them, provide evidence that Tommy Robinson's a racist, they're like, there's this, and they'll try and cobble together some shit, and then you can usually disprove it in about 10 seconds. Or they say, oh, but he's a fraudster, he's a grifter, he's Tommy 10 names. I think here the traitor Starmer has about 10 names, not Tommy, but I digress. But they'll usually come up with some shit that is usually unfounded, no evidence, which in some cases you could even put tantamount to defamation of character and slander. Like, to keep calling somebody a fraudster when they've only ever done one thing, and that was a mortgage form was filled out wrong. Nobody lost any money. Companies didn't lose a penny. And it was just to help their friend get a mortgage. That was the closest thing you could put to fraud on Tommy Robinson. They'll try to claim gambling or some shit, and again, they provide no evidence of it. But I am detracting a little bit. I wanted this video to be made simply to give a little bit of inspiration to any young and upcoming people who want to do politics about the United Kingdom. I don't really want to say use me as a role figure, because that kind of makes me feel bad. It makes me feel like a fucking parent. you know, like, don't worry, son, you'll be all right, don't you worry. But I guess some people could see me as a role model. No, I'm not going to walk down the catwalk. Fuck off. Anyway, they probably could see me as like a role model to look up to. But I think there are better people to look up to, like Richard Inman, Paul Thorpe, Tommy Robinson, British Paz 49 or ex-Paz 49. There are probably a lot more people who you could look up to. Far better than I could. After all, I look like two people anyway. But it's more about, don't be afraid. Because when Tommy Robinson first started his activism, he used a fake name and he wore a mask because he was scared. Everyone starts out scared. It's like a turtle coming out of its shell. Eventually, he is going to poke his head out and he's going to see the world for what it is. And that's exactly what we are. We are evolving. We are learning to see the world for what it really is. We don't sit here and say, well, the sun is shining and it's lollipops and sunshine and there's loads of tulips spread around. No, because the cold bit of truth is, I don't think we're going to be like that for some time. I think we have got a lot of shit in our country that we need to get in order. The illegal immigration, we need to ban Islam, we need to deport Islam, because that culture has no place in Western society with its barbaric teachings of slay the infidels wherever you see them and behead them, or any other scriptures other than the Quran is not acceptable, or Muslims must not take infidels as friends. Just a few of the passages from the Quran. Like, we need to deal with that. We need to deal with our traitorous establishment. We need to get British politicians that are truthful, by the people, for the people mentality, so we can actually have politicians who represent us. And that's just a few things we need to sort out. We obviously need to sort out our economy. We need to sort out our schooling. We need to sort out the prison system. We need to sort out the taxes. We need to sort out the pensions. There's all sorts of things I could go on into that we need to sort out. But right now, the most important thing is getting ourselves unified and ready to march on the 26th of October. Because we need at least 250,000 people up there. So we can send a message that not even the gods will be able to hide their amazement at. We need a huge movement that will be the final nail in Keir the Traitor Starmer's coffin. Because there's actually something else that I'll be talking about, probably tomorrow, that I think Rosie Duffield, if I've got her surname correct, has actually resigned from the Labour Party, and she absolutely eviscerates Keir the Traitor Starmer and the Labour Party in her resignation letter. And my God, it was a good read, let me tell you. It just put a shit-eating grin on my face like you wouldn't believe. Seeing how much damnation that Rosie gave Keir the Traitor Starmer. It was amazing. Finally, a woman with a pair of balls, whether up here or down there, or in my case, both. But let there be no illusion. We need everyone at this protest. The young, the old, the middle-aged, we need everyone. We need to send a message to the establishment that we've had enough. But let's also remember, we've got about 2 to 5 months tops to make this work. I think if Keir the traitor Starmer isn't gone before Christmas, if he's somehow still clinging on, I think we've got about two to three protests tops to be able to get those traitorous politicians in the Labour Party to buck up their ideas and start serving the people they claim to be for. That's the reason why Rosie's left. Because they are not a party of the working class. They are a party working a shitload of arse. They are a party more interested in serving themselves and getting bribes and comfy places from Lord Ali. I bet Lord Ali is feeling a little disgusted right now with what this country has become on the back of Keir the traitor Starmer. Or maybe he's like Keir the traitor Starmer and feels nothing. I don't know. But what I do know is that I was in the same position that you young'uns were at, where I was worried about putting my views out there. I was worried about what will happen if I put my views out for the world to see. What will happen if I end up speaking my mind and saying it exactly how it is about a political establishment that doesn't give a shit about this country. Well, I've done it through the Tories and I'm doing it through Labour. I don't give a shit whether it's a red rose, a blue rose, or some fucking Ambrose. I don't care. I will do this regardless. I will do it regardless of donations. I will do this regardless of how many people support me. So whether I'm getting a quid, £1 million, nothing at all, or whether I've got 30 people or 3,600 people, as the case may be, I will keep doing this shit. Because I do have a vested interest in this country. I may not have worn a mask. I may not have been scared to use my real name. But the truth is, Matt here is not afraid of a little bit of pressure. I'm not afraid of a treacherous establishment. I'm not afraid of Keir the traitor Starmer and his cronies. Because at the end of the day, I am breaking no laws. I'm not advocating for violence. I'm not advocating for people to commit criminal activity. I am not committing any kind of racist hate speech. I'm not inciting hatred. I am merely stating my opinions. I am merely stating the facts of what's going on in this country, or trying my best to put just the facts out. Sometimes I'll have a little bit of a wobbly. I'll have a little wobbly and I'll go off course. But you know what? When I make a mistake, I'm the first person to put their hands up for it. Will you see the mainstream media or Keir the traitor Starmer do that? Keir the traitor Starmer doubled down as far as the winter fuel payment is concerned. He doubled down. He's ignoring his Labour MPs. He's breaking parliamentary rules by ignoring the wishes of his own MPs. He's on the ropes. Let there be no illusion. He is completely on the fucking ropes right now. He just doesn't want to show it, because obviously nobody here wants to show the slightest sign of weakness. They want to show that they've got the mettle to do this. They want to show that they are the people of change, as Keir the traitor Starmer often puts it. But Keir the traitor Starmer, the only change you're going to be making is what position you're in the next couple of months. Because I can assure you this much, free of charge. But if you want more information, it's going to cost you 20 quid. Anyway, I can assure you this much free of charge. You are not going to survive much longer. Not in the world of politics, anyway. I cannot think of one other MP that has gotten to a minus 30 approval rating. Not one. I cannot think of one other politician that has gotten that much universal negativity. You have alienated everyone, even your own damn people. And you're going to be responsible for a lot of young'uns coming up, rising up, and holding you to account, Keir the Traitor Starmer. All because you want to be a lying sack of shit for your WEF puppet masters. We won't stand for it. I had a dream of being with Tommy Robinson way back. Tommy made that come true. I have another dream now, and I'm hoping this one will come true as well, where I can sit up on stage and I can give the young'uns a real motivation. Show them what can happen when you've got the balls, as said, whether up here or down there, or in my case both, to be able to hold the establishment to account. I want to be up there, ready to give a speech to Keir the Traitor Starmer and show him exactly the kind of shit he's put us through. There will be no script. Everything will be off the cuff, or lack thereof. But it'll be off the cuff, exactly how it is. I'm not going to mince my words. And I'm not going to sugarcoat a mother fucking thing.